Welcome to My Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. Join Larissa and Mallory as they explore biohacking tips for women based on the latest science and research available today. Let them help you unlock your best self. It's time to hack smarter, not harder, together.
Hello, hello. We are back. And this time, ladies, we are in our strength era. And that is the series that we are starting. That's right. It's all about muscles. We're starting a new series. We're talking all about fitness, all about muscle building, because Larissa and I have been doing research for well over a year now. And I feel like everything we've researched has always come back to one fact. And that's that for women, the more muscle you can have on your body, the better when it comes to everyday life, when it comes to health span, when it comes to preparing for perimenopause and menopause. These are all very big issues that we're facing, as women, as we're getting into our 30s and our 40s and our 50s. And so we decided that it was time to sit down and have a conversation about muscle building, about strength training. We're going to talk about the cardio that you should actually be doing at that point. And we're going to talk about building muscle, lifting heavy. And then we're going to finish up with a final playbook, some tips and tricks that we've learned along the way. We've spent a lot of time focusing on this, actually. So we're going to share what we know, and we are going to have some fun along the way. So I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, muscle is literally the organ of longevity, which is something I never really thought about, and I never really prioritized muscle building. And I think as women, we don't want to be big and bulky, so we always, we want to be feminine, and so you want to be strong, but you don't want to look too strong, and there's this whole balance between it. And the older we get, and it changes. And so muscle isn't just for looks anymore. It's a powerful metabolic organ that controls our blood sugar. It helps our hormones, our inflammation, and even our brain health. And who would have guessed that?
I know.
So-
I really never thought of it from a longevity perspective, but it really is the organ of longevity. Like that totally makes sense in my mind, because the more you have of it, the longer, like it's almost like the fountain of youth a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's like the more muscle you have, the more, and it's not just like, oh, I lift this much weight at the gym, like I'm lifting like a pro. It's more like functional muscle, even like your ability to get up and off, get off the floor, sit on the floor, get up from the floor, bring your groceries in. There's so many different things that you need your muscles for that you don't really think about, like the fast twitch muscle, all the things. It's so complicated. Sorry.
Well, and then as women age, when we start going to perimenopause and menopause, it decreases. So then that's scary, because you can't just do what you've always done, because naturally your body changes. And so you have to adjust. So this is our whole episode about adjusting for health and longevity. So the key benefits for women, which is what you really need to hone in on. And when you think of building muscle and lifting up that weight, you really want to think about these things when you're doing that and prioritizing it in your busy schedule, which we're all very busy.
This is your why, guys. This is why we do it, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the gym, this is why.
Or at home, or with your family, or whatever it is.
Right.
It could be multiple places. But it boosts your metabolism and it reduces energy crashes, which is really important for you to sustain throughout your day, to keep your day going. It protects bone density, which is critical during perimenopause, and we'll go into that a little bit later on in the show. But it is crucial that you have good bone density as you age. It helps regulate hormones and lower inflammation. And all of us, I feel like, are chronically inflamed. So that will help with that inflammation. And then it will improve daily strength, and it will give you confidence when you're carrying your kids or your grandkids or your groceries, or when you're traveling and you're trying to put your luggage above in the rack, in the bin over you in the airport. No,
The overhead compartment.
Thank you. As you're putting it in the overhead compartment when you're traveling. I hate doing that. And so I'm really lucky that I'm usually with my kids, and my son will do it for me. But he's not always going to be there. Eventually he'll have his own family, and then I'll have to do it myself.
Yep.
So that will help with that. It supports better mood, your brain function, and long-term independence. So it's linked to living longer with fewer health issues. And so that is really important. All of those things I feel like are very important to me. And so when we discovered how important muscle building is for the everyday woman, it really moved up on our list of priorities.
Yeah, it's like it was just like out there somewhere, and then I feel like the more research we do, it's like going higher and it's going higher, and now it's like pretty much at the top. I'm like, before I do anything, I need to put more muscle on me. That's the first thing I can do. Between that and drinking water, like we always talk about, that's always going to be at the top, guys. So, but they go hand in hand actually. Like if you think about it, if you're not properly hydrated, you can't properly exercise. So they both need each other. So
So you're famous for your analogies. Do you have an analogy for
yes.
muscle?
I do actually. So you should really think about your muscle as your body's kind of your built-in furnace and battery. So the more you
Mhm.
have of it, the better everything in your body runs because it's serving multiple purposes in your body.
And then it keeps you active and engaged.
Hmm. There's so many analogies for this. That was just one that I just picked one. It's
I
your
like it.
muscles really just do so much. The more I learn about blood sugar control, like we've talked about that recently, and things like that, your body actually stores glycogen in your muscles. So the more muscles you have, the more it's storing it in your muscles and not storing it in more detrimental places like fat, like internal organs, right? So it's just, it's allowing your body to perform optimally. And that is so undersold, I feel like.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what I want to point out is because I really love looking at the numbers, what science is saying. It really helps drive home, how much it's important to us as women. So starting in our 30s, women lose 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade. And that speeds up significantly in perimenopause and menopause. It could be up to 3 times faster than that for some people. And this is if they do nothing to counteract it. And
I
so
feel that.
that's crazy to think about, like having just,
Um,
let's just say 5% less from 30 to 40. That is terrifying when you think about 50 and 60 and
well,
70.
it just adds on then. Exactly. So then it's
Yeah.
when you're okay, you might feel a little bit and you're going from 30s to 40s. And then when you go from 40s to 50s, that's another 5%. And then that really feels it. And then going from, your 60s to your 70s is even worse.
Yeah, exactly. So it ends up that a lot of women lose 30 to 50% of their muscle between the ages of 30 and 80 when they do nothing. So I'm like,
Wow.
just that number alone, I think about how much more, first of all, how much more tired I am in my 30s than I was in my 20s. That might have something to do with kids and jobs. I don't know. But what I'm saying is the gym doesn't come as easily as it used to. Okay.
Well, you don't have the time to prioritize that as much as
And
you
I don't
did.
have the energy. Like, I
Yeah.
honestly feel like I feel my cycles more. I don't have the energy. Like, there's so many things going on that's just the difference between my 20s and my 30s. So, like, when I think about that compounding across time, that makes it a lot more important for me to prioritize it now. Right.
Yeah. Well, we
Because
really have to.
yeah, and I've talked to a lot of women who are like personal trainers and coaches and things, and they talk about how they feel better in their 40s than they did in their 30s. But it's because they prioritize that in their lifestyle and were able to combat this statistic. And that's huge.
Well, I always think about I don't want to be that frail woman as I age in longevity where I can't even, I'm fragile. So everybody has to treat me like an egg that I might break at any time. I don't want to be that fragile. I want to be
Yeah.
able to be sturdy and confident. And even if I slow down, that's okay if I slow down. I just want to make sure that I can function and take care of myself.
Yeah, you want to age at the appropriate time, not prematurely because you've dropped all of your lifestyle habits. Because I think in that show, The Blue Zones, when they studied all these people who were centenarians, live over 100, the one thing that they noticed is that they still did all the hard things. If they lived in a town that was hilly and they had to do hundreds of steps every day, they did that every day. They didn't stop doing those things and it kept them spry, right? Up
Hmm.
to 105, you know? So it totally makes sense. Like you don't want that to happen prematurely. So
Yeah.
the other thing that brings up is with the frailty is bone density is a big issue too, because muscle and bone are deeply connected. And so in the 5 to 7 years around menopause, women can lose up to 15 to 20% of their bone density, which is crazy.
Wow.
We all know how much osteoporosis is a very big issue for women as they age, especially after menopause. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
There's a major drop in your muscle mass and your bone density.
And so you almost have to build it up really high before you go into perimenopause so that when you're in perimenopause, then it drops to a normal level. And so then it
Yeah.
kicks you into menopause smoother.
Yeah, you're going to come out of your queenager stage, in a better place. That's what I like to call it. That's what we're calling it now. It's
I
not
like it.
menopause, it's queenagerhood. The gist of what we're putting together here is strong muscle equals better metabolism, fewer energy crashes, stronger bones, and just better independence over the years as we age.
And when you become a queenager.
And when you become a queenager, it's coming, guys, whether you want it to or not.
That's
So better
That's my
prepare.
new favorite. Yeah, that's my new favorite thing you just said, queenager. Never heard of that, and I'm glad you made it up because I love it, and I think we should own that, queenager. It's
Right? I
women going
actually
into
didn't make it
menopause.
up. I saw it on a meme, but I've adopted it. So
But if you hadn't told that to me, I would not have known. So I say we
Yep.
just stick with it.
Oh yeah. Yep. We are adopting that.
So why this hits women, especially in the 30s and 40s, right before going into menopause and perimenopause, is estrogen drops. So during perimenopause, your estrogen drops and accelerates muscle and bone loss. And so that's critical to understand so you can offset it. The hidden the cost of not having estrogen is slows down your metabolism. It makes you more fatigued and tired. You have bigger mood swings, which I know I could definitely feel, and you have a higher risk of aches and injuries and ailments.
Yeah. So really the way that I've begun to understand estrogen is our version of testosterone. Testosterone does so much for men. Like that's
Mhm.
what estrogen does for us. It's protective, it's energizing, it's all of these things, right? And so as it naturally declines, which it does and should, it just comes with this cost. And so we don't want it to happen prematurely is the key. And we don't want it to drop completely. We want it to be a gentler transition.
Yeah. We want a gentle hill. We don't want a steep cliff.
No, no. I wish I had my little hand and it would be like thumbs down. No, no
I
cliff.
have my hands right here. Yay.
Although I guess as a pointer, I have a broken one.
Yeah, you have the OGs.
Yeah, it's like the finger got broken off, so it's like a thumbs up or a thumbs down now. Anyway,
I know, and we digress.
let us get back on track.
Yep. And the biggest thing I feel like too is in our 20s, we were told eat less, do more cardio, and it really wasn't focused on, well, for women, it's like necessarily weights. It was light
Yeah.
weights, maybe do more sit ups, more, push ups, much more
Well,
of
and
that.
light
right?
weights, more reps, right? They were
Yeah.
like lighter weights and do 10 to 15 reps.
Yeah. And a lot of cardio. Cardio was always a big push.
Ooh.
Like you need to sweat.
Yeah.
And now science is saying that we actually need to not do that. We need to actually do less cardio and more strength training to really be proactive and heading into our perimenopause and menopause years.
And we have to lift heavy. I mean, Dr. Stacey Sims is amazing on this. I mean, she has done so much work with female athletes and with women that she is like the person that I go to when I'm like, what should I do, Dr. Sims? That's who I go to. So, and she talks about lift heavy. And she has a few other recommendations, which we'll talk about in this series. But it is definitely very different than what we've all been told for a long time. And when you're in your 20s and even your early 30s, do what you want, do what you want to do. But there comes a time where you have to really think about how you want your next 20 years to look. And the best way to prepare for that is by muscle building.
Yep. And that will help you carrying groceries and carry your luggage and getting on the floor and playing with your kids and grandkids more gracefully. Because
Yeah.
right now, sometimes getting down is not the most graceful thing for some people.
Well, that's the way that it really like sneaks up on you. Like you don't really think about what losing muscle mass looks like in your day-to-day life, but it could be that you just notice yourself being more tired after normal daily activities, or your metabolism might be slowing down, so you're gaining weight easier around the midsection, even if nothing else in your life has changed. So it's little things like that, like minor injuries take longer to heal, or you start to have posture issues where your shoulders start to slump forward, or you're getting stiff joints, stuff like that, that it's like, these are all just subtle signs. It happens very slowly.
Well, and I think that goes back to you used to be able to do it. So then you do things that you have always been able to do. And then all of a sudden you don't have the muscle there to support that movement. And then that's where you get injuries and, you tweak
Yes.
this and you tweak that. And it's pretty crazy. So you have a much higher chance of random injuries when you don't have that muscle to support it because you've
Yeah.
lost it.
That is so true. And then eventually you get to the point where you're worried about falling, that it's a
Mm.
lot riskier when nobody wants to be there. What is the joke? Is it's that you're getting old if instead of people laughing when you fall, they're concerned.
Oh, that's not even funny
And I
because
was
it's so
like, that's
true.
funny, but it's so sad.
Well, it's even funny with our dad, for example. We were talking about retirement and where to live and all this stuff, and because there's his kids are all over the United States, so we were
Yep.
going over all of the places he could possibly live. And his biggest thing is he wanted to be close to a hospital. And you don't
Mm.
even think about that when you're younger,
Yeah,
having a ranch out with, 60 acres sounds like a dream. But then like,
right.
when you're getting older and you lose your muscle mass, it's a different type of thinking. And it put me in perspective. But I was like, oh man, I never thought about that. But
That's so true. The only time I really thought about that was when I was pregnant, as I was like, because we were moving, of course, right when I was pregnant, and so I was like, wherever we move, I don't want to be an hour from the hospital because our first daughter, she was born with pneumonia, and so if we hadn't been in a hospital, it would have been extremely dangerous for her. And so then I was like, we have to be near a hospital. But that's the only time I've really thought about that. So that was an interesting conversation to have with Dad.
yeah, it was super random. But it makes me think about though that as I'm also aging, then it makes me more aware of that type of lifestyle. So I just want more muscle so I can be stronger and I don't have to worry about that as much.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where there is really a hopeful flip side to all of this. Is the reason why we want to do this series. We're in our strength era is because this is completely reversible and preventable with the right moves. And it doesn't even have to be anything crazy. I honestly feel the way that we need to be working, exercising, right, and building muscle is not as labor intensive. It's not as time intensive as I expected it to be.
Well, cardio is time intensive. So
Yes.
muscle strength training, it can be much shorter.
Yeah, I'm like, it actually feels like less time than I've spent in the gym in the past when I was trying to get in really good shape. So that's great news. But also finding the ways to get the most bang for your buck on the time you're spending. Like this is all a very hopeful note for all of it, all of us to take home. And so we're going to be talking about on the series how to lift heavy and the benefits of lifting heavy, using smarter cardio and how to fuel and habits that will actually fit your busy life because this doesn't need to be something that takes over your life. You don't need to be, a 2 hour a day gym rat. That's not what we're saying. It's actually very
Doable.
doable and like you can fit it into your life. So I just want everybody to feel that hope. Oh, like it's great. So
Uh,
ultimately, like, we're not trying to look like bodybuilders. We just wanna
yeah.
build strength for the life that we wanna have, at 50, 60, and 70. And so the time to start thinking about that is honestly as soon as possible. So,
And it's nice because in Good Energy, she talks about all that. So she incorporates so much of this in the book too. So it is
oh, yeah.
definitely a longevity tool. And that's why it is the biggest longevity organ.
Yeah, it is so true. I feel like we ran into it everywhere. Everybody we talked to was like, "The more muscle you have, the better. The more muscle you have, the better." And we're like, "Okay, we get the point. We're gonna start lifting weights."
And then we hear it again and we're like, okay, at least we're lifting weights.
Right? I am lifting weights. Jeez.
All right. So our advice, our sisterly advice is muscle isn't an option anymore. It's one of the smartest investments we can make for our energy and confidence and how we feel in the next 10 to 20 years. And we do not want to be fragile women. So we want to be strong women. And so it is not an option anymore. All women need to be doing some kind of strength training.
Absolutely. And let's be real, we're not chasing the six-pack abs or the stage bodies. We're building quiet strength so that we can keep showing up as the strong, capable women we want to be for our families, for our work, and for ourselves.
And remember that it is never too late to start. There's so many people who start in their 60s, 70s, and then they look better than I do now. So it's great that it is reversible, it's fixable. So it's never too late to start. Small, consistent movements create massive changes. So start small and then build up, and your body is capable of doing so much more than what you've been told.
Yes, I love it. So this week, for the first week of our series, we're going to give you a micro challenge. Just pay attention to how your body feels during your daily normal, your normal daily tasks. Notice where you feel strong versus where you might feel a little tired or weak. Notice where you used to be able to do something and feel fine, and you might be feeling different now. See if you notice changes over time. Just observe, no pressure, just some food for thought.
And community matters. Women need community, and we need to socialize, and we need to do it together. So text a friend, get a group together, maybe your family members. If you are lucky, as we are, to have a bunch of sisters, you can text the sisters. Whoever is in your wheelhouse, make sure you text them and tell them that you are starting a strength era and you want to be accountable. So hold each other accountable. So like, I did my weight training today, or whatever your goal is, and move it forward. But have somebody to keep you accountable, because that is the game changer. It has always been the game changer for me. And so I definitely highly recommend you getting an accountability partner. And it could be us.
It could be us. You could tag us on any social media and we'll be your accountability partner. Or join our Facebook group, My Wellness Rewired, and we will for sure keep you accountable. So, and remember, next week, we're bringing on our bodybuilder coach. She is amazing, to talk about how to actually start lifting heavy, some real life advice, no intimidation, just some real talk. She's awesome. So you deserve to feel strong in your body. This is our strength era. So let's do it.
Together. So remember, ladies, our mission is simple: to help you truly know your body and take ownership of your health, one biohack at a time. We have gone through lots of ups and downs, but we love this series. And so please help us review, share it with friends who need to hear it, and stay tuned for more empowering conversations coming soon. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on the next episode.
Yay!
I'm so excited, Mallory.
Yay!
We're wearing the same outfit and we didn't even plan it. We're wearing our My Wellness Rewired jackets and we didn't even plan it. That is kind of freaky. Or are we becoming so in sync from doing this podcast that we are thinking the same way?
I think we just channeled the same energy today. That's what I feel like.
We wanted to feel strong.
That's right. Also, we never get to wear athleisure wear because we're wearing workout wear for the strength era. And so we're taking full advantage.
Muscle isn't an option anymore. It is one of the smartest investments we can take from our energy. No, take two. Your luggage above in the rack, in the bin over you in the airport. No, over
the overhead compartment. It's allowing your body to perform more optimally. I can't say that word, man. It's so annoying.
Try it one more time.
I even forgot what I was saying.
It's allowed.
All right, you wellness rock stars. That's a wrap on this episode of My Wellness Rewired, Hacking Women's Health. We've had a blast dishing out the hacks and laughs, but hold up, let's keep it real.
Yep, we are not doctors. We are just sharing our biohacking adventures and learning right alongside you. Nothing we say is medical advice, so always, always check with your healthcare provider before trying any new wellness tricks.
Absolutely. This podcast is all about inspiration and entertainment, not prescriptions. So join our Facebook group for more sassy wellness vibes. Catch you next time.